Hey guys, welcome to Mayfield Family Farm. Today we're doing another video on the Straw Bale Garden. In the years previous, the last couple of years, we have used a soaker hose to water. We just basically lay the hose down and put some staples down to hold it on top of the straw bales and just use that to water. But what I noticed is the dripper hose just doesn't have a long lifespan. And in Joe Carson's book, he addresses that topic. He says he started off with soaker hoses, then eventually went to polytube with drippers. And so I followed that same route. I started on soaker hoses and realized it just wasn't good. And I knew I'd be having a lot of replacement issues where I'd be replacing the hose every year or two. And just realized that's not good for our environment. It's not good for our landfills. So I'm going to be going with a polytube that Shane here's holding and using drippers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set 2 gallon per hour drippers every foot just to water the whole bale. That way I'm not too worried about where exactly a plant is. I'm not trying to put a dripper on each plant, just getting the bale itself wet, because of course that will help pull in the moisture for the plants. And so what you're going to be seeing in this video is just a time lapse of us putting together all the polytube, cutting them to length. We got all of our fittings and everything here in drippers and get that all going. Alright, so here I am getting the tubes ready, and I'm laying the poly tube across the bale, and I'm putting in the elbows and the end fittings, and then putting in the connectors here to connect it to the hose. And then now I run the hose over and connect the hose up to the faucet, and getting it all ready to put water through the system. And so it was pretty painless, just took a few minutes to do all of these steps. And then in this last clip we are flushing out the system to clean it all out. All right, here's an update on what we've done so far. So at the end of the straw bale, we gave ourselves a couple extra feet of polytube, and that's just because in the future we may want to do longer straw bales, and we have a room here to do another full straw bale. And then basically we just have a stake holding it here. The next step I have is to put drippers every foot, and then we come down here, and then I just have a stake and then a 90-degree fitting. And then over here as well, there's a stake and then a 90-degree fitting. And then right here in this planter, we will have a single dripper coming into this planter. And then right here, I put a T to connect this line come across, and then it drops down to the hose fitting right there in the end. And then that hose is gonna go over to our timer to have this whole garden on a timer. So in the next seconds here, you're gonna watch us put all the drippers throughout the whole line. Alright, so now we're laying out the tape measure, and I'm going through with the hole punch and punching holes every 12 inches throughout the entire polytube. And Shane is following behind me with 2 gallon drippers in his pockets around his waist, and he is popping those into all the holes that I'm putting in. And that way there will be consistent water throughout all the bales. This puts about 3 drippers per bale, which is going to be plenty of water for this whole garden. Last one. Yeah, high five. Over here. So Shane just helped me get all the drippers in. I poked all the holes every foot, and then he snapped every single one in. What do you think? What? He said it hurt really bad in his thumbs. He almost couldn't get the last few, but we got all the way down to the last one. So now we're going to do a water test. We're going to take off the ends, blow out all the water, that way if there's any dirt or debris in this hose. I've had this hose for, I don't know, 5-6 years. So blow out all the dirt that could have been collected in, or bugs or anything, that way it doesn't clog up the drippers. And then I'll put the ends back on and then test the whole system with the drippers. All right, so just walk you through what I did is we took off, my son and I each took off one of these ends and turned the water on, so you can see all the water right here, just to wash out anything that was in there. Then we put these back in, and then I just turned on the water, and you can see that they are all bubbling just perfect all the way down the line. Take you down here as well and just show you that none of the fittings are leaking. Everything seems dry and the drippers are working perfect. So we have a perfect, so far perfect system. Every drop dripper that I'm looking at is squirting out water. And then now all I need to do is on the end of this hose where it hooks up to the spigot is put on a digital timer, which I'll show you what we're using right now. Just right now we're using one of these individual station that just set up for hooking directly up into a hose or a spigot. Now, the reason I'm using this and not an actual in-ground system is we are still in design for our complete farm layout. We are rearranging, actually we already had a design that we did a couple years ago, and then we decided that we didn't like it, so we're redesigning everything. So based on where everything is going is going to dictate where we pull electricity to and where we pull plumbing to throughout our property for all the hookups and the stations. So until that time, we just have a few of these individuals just all around our property doing what they need to do. So for you guys in the future, when you're looking at designing your property, you may be using these in the beginning until you get everything laid out. So that's just where we are at. But like I said, as far as the drippers and everything goes, this is good. We'll put a couple more stakes in where we want them, just so the hose doesn't blow off or get moved off here especially in the middle span. It can get pushed one way or the other. And so we'll get those on. All right, well, one other thing I wanted to mention is I'm not going to be wetting the bales with these drippers until we put plants in. So I put these in a little bit early. For the first 2 weeks of setting up the straw bales, hold on, there's a loud plane. It's a big old army plane. All right, so I just wanted to let you guys know one of the things that I'm doing is I'm not using the polytube and drippers yet. I won't be using those until we put plants in. For the first 2 weeks, you're prepping your bales, you're getting them broken down, basically composting them in place with high nitrogen fertilizer. And so while I'm doing that, it takes, like I said, about 12 to 14 days. And so there's certain measurements of how much fertilizer I'm putting down on what specific days and how much I'm watering them. So at this point, as I'm putting fertilizer down, I'm also watering them with the hose because I want a lot of water. I want to make sure the entire bales are soaked thoroughly. So I just wanted to put that out there. As far as the amount of nitrogen, fertilizer, and the amount of water that you're putting on the bales, I would encourage you to check out Joel Karsten's book called Complete Straw Bale Gardens. And in that book, he goes through it all, or reach out to me personally and I will help you understand and give you the specifics of how much fertilizer and what days. So just wanted to give you that information so you were understood where we were at in the process. I want to refer you to Joe Karsten's book called the Complete Straw Bale Complete. All right, guys, so we got all the drippers and the polytube all completely finished. So thank you for checking out this video. A couple things I wanted to share that are just important to me. One is getting a chance to work with your family. I know not everyone has kids, maybe they've moved on, maybe you don't have kids, but if you have a chance to be outside on your farm, do it with your family. That was really important when we were looking at names. We decided to go with Mayfield Family Farm. It was because we wanted to create a legacy with our kids, that our kids knew what it was like to be outside, to work hard, to have a good work ethic, and to just be able to see the importance and value of family and the importance and value of self-sustainment and creating your own sustainability. And one of the cool things I wanted to show was this. So this is just an apron from Home Depot. Now, my dad, he passed away when I was 19, but when I was about my son's age, my dad worked at Home Depot, and this was his pouch from when he was an employee there. And so this is back in the 80s that he wore this. And it was cool because I got this from my dad when I was just a young guy, and when he passed away I was able to keep it. And then so today, I don't know if you saw in the video, my son was using it to put the drippers in here. So it was just cool to see like my dad giving me, even though it's not a real tool, it was special to me, and it's special to be able to give it down to my son and have him be able to use it as well. So thank you guys again. So don't forget, If you can, I'd love if you can like and subscribe the video. Go onto our Facebook page at facebook.com/Mayfield Family Farm. And then also check out our website where we have a blog and a store, and it is at mayfieldfamily.farm. So it's www.mayfieldfamily.farm. So thank you guys, have a great day, and we will see you next time. Yeah, the chicken, huh? All right, see you guys.
How did you get up there?
I don't know.
He probably got under the water thing.